Coming to you live from downtown Detroit, this is Benzinga's Pre-Market Prep with your host, Joel Elconin.
This is a volatile puppy here, isn't it?
And Dennis Dick.
I'm bidding a penny. I will buy the stock for a penny.
With everything that you need to start your trading day.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this Tuesday edition of Benzinga's Pre-Market Prep. Spencer Israel here with Joel Elconin and Dennis Dick. Obviously, big day, election day, midterm election day here in the U.S., so the market will sort of be looking around and maybe a little bit uneasy today, but that doesn't mean we don't have individual catalysts. We have some earnings to discuss. We have some ratings to discuss. We have some insider buying to discuss. Our guest today, Nick Chahine, will help us break it all down. He's our options expert, the author of Create Income with Option Spreads. He will join us at 8:35 as he does every Tuesday. Joel, what is the word in the overnight session in the S&P?
Trading down 5 handles here at 27.3450. We went off the board at 39.50. That's been the high close of the rebound. 38 was Friday's close. So let's call this its whole 27.40 area, the area of decision here ahead of the election. Pre-market high 46.50. Friday's high, the big one we got to keep an eye on. That's up at 27.66 and a quarter. Coming on the downside, not much here. Monday's low down at 27.12.75. Moving on to the crude oil market here, desperately trying to get away from the 62.50 area, trading down 15 cents at 16.95. You got 3 lows in that area from your past 3 sessions. Once again, trying to get into the $63 handle. Gold hanging out in the 1230s quite a bit, up 370 at 1236. Trying to get over that magical 1250 number. Silver not moving up 2 cents at 1467. And Bitcoin doing what Bitcoin does nowadays, just hanging out 6,400, 6,500. We're actually up $15 at 60.
How many months have we been between 6,000 and 6,500? I feel like we've been there for like 6 months.
Let's.
Now, how long? It's been a long time. We broke out a little bit in there.
Yeah. Well, the last 2 months, when November just started, we've been between 6,000 and 6,800. The month of September, the low was 6,000. You got up to 7,400 during part of that month, but not very much. So I would say majority of the last 2.5 months have been stuck between 6,000 and 7,000. I think you still have Mount Gox out there, maybe still trying to unload some of their loot. They don't care. They're going to be patient with it. And you just don't have the retail public in there like you did 1 year ago around Thanksgiving. Out there trying to buy Bitcoin. The ARBs came in that right when we did our show. That was like at the top end had been made with a couple days of that. The ARBs came in, just took out the craziness in the market, and we're finding the true value here, and true value definitely is right around 6,300, 6,400.
I don't know if we can say that, but we're finding, definitely we're a price where buyers and sellers are in agreement as to what Bitcoin is worth right now. I don't know if anybody really knows how to value it, but Price Discovery has it at 6,200 right now, or 6,300, and it's been there forever. I mean, if you are a Bitcoin trader, I guess you go with the flow. If you eventually breach 6,000 or start to get up over 7,000, maybe you go with that. Or maybe it's going to be one of those scenarios where you get down to 5,900, shake everybody out, and then rally in your face. So if you do play the breakdown or the breakout, well, I always say you want the stock, if you're playing the breakdown, to stay broken and not go back above the area where it broke down from, because if it does, that means it's more of a fake out or potential fake out. So in any regard here, I'm not a Bitcoin trader, so we'll move on to the other stocks because this is an equity show.
And what do you want to do? You want to do some earnings? You want to talk about some movers from yesterday?
Yeah, let's go. There's some big ones. Let's go to booking. This thing's up over $100 here this morning, so it always moves. I know this used to be the Nick Chahine. We're going to have him, so we'll save some of our commentary for Nick. But let's just quickly give the rundown. We'll probably talk this again with Nick Chahine at 8:35 because this is his baby. But I mean, this thing moves 100 points every time it reports.
Well, the Q3 EPS $37.78 versus a $38.17 estimate. So a slight miss on the Q3 EPS. Sales were in line, $4.8 billion. Q4 EPS guidance coming in higher than estimates by a range of 20 to 60 cents, and EBITDA guidance was around $1.9 billion dollars.
Big pop, getting up to the psychological $2,000 level. We failed at 2017 back on October the 1st. That would be my bogey if I was long this thing. You know, you can round it all to 2000 if you want, because it's obviously, you know, a very expensive stock. But I think the 2017, that's the level that I'd be looking at as the potential resistance. And you're getting there. I mean, if you're paying up 111 points for this morning, you're coming right back into resistance. Put it in perspective. A week and a half goes to 1750. So you're up 250 points, or a tidy 15% from those lows in a week and a half. That's a pretty impressive move. I think they're chasing it now if you're buying it here.
Took the words right out of my mouth. Pre-market high 20.25. Use that whole area. See if someone even uses above 2000 to exit. I just will say you printed 980 after you made that high. So, you know, boom, play along above 1980 here. This is just based on the 15-minute chart. Under 1980, look out below. I mean, you will find buyers, but the gap fill here at 1885. And maybe when Nick comes on, I'd love to see what like the 2000 calls we're going for. I wonder if you could even made any money if they were anything over 380 right now. You're not. I wonder what kind of juice they had in them.
Well, we could go look it up where they closed.
Yeah, I don't have that platform open. And
okay, I actually do. So
$2,000 stocks.
So I don't know if I have the weeklies. Let me just go see what I've got up here. Hang on. And then somebody in the chat's got it. Saved me a headache here, because I don't know why my computer, the one computer of mine, is operating slow. You got to update these things like every year, it seems like. The thing's 2 years old and it's already going slow again. Do they honestly like create these things to expire after 2 years?
Yeah, so then you have to
I think they do, because this thing's 2 years old and it's already operating slow here too. So you wanted to look at the 2000 calls?
Yeah, weeklies.
Yeah, so November. We're looking, the weeklies. I don't know if I have those up. Hang on.
All right.
$10 looks roughly.
Okay. All right.
So, okay, so you're making nothing. I mean, it's so hard. I mean, you could have bought the 1950s though and been making money. It looks like they were around $20. So, and these are closing prices, obviously. So, you know, you'd be making money on that. But it's so, I'm going to say it, and I say it all the time, so hard to make money making or buying options.
And being right
especially ahead of the reports.
Like that. I mean,
they're just juiced. The premiums are so high. The people who are making money are like Nick Chahine, who are selling premium all the time. Nick will come on, you know, he'll do some lottos sometimes, but he'll tell you the majority of his money is made selling options. I mean, sell puts. I mean, isn't that like, what's his product called? What's the product called?
Create income with option spreads.
Yeah, creating income. Well, you don't create income by paying all the time. You create income by writing insurance to the market, and that's how he does it. My buddy Chris Bandy is the same thing. They write insurance to the market all the time, and they're consistent, make money. And it's difficult when you're on the other side and playing the options from the long side. Yes, you're going to get the odd flyer. Yes, you're going to get the odd winner. But in the long run, that time value of the option that is expiring on you all the time eats you away. And I still say, you know, and I know Fari said this before, the weeklies, everybody wants to buy those weeklies, but that's just, you know, in the long run, I don't know if I know any traders that make money consistently buying weeklies. I know a lot, but they make money selling them though.
All right, let's continue the earnings parade here.
Moving on, bookings. So we've had not a ton of big ones, but there are some interesting ones. Let's go to this morning here. We had Eli Lilly, and Lilly had a nice run up. I mean, we had a clear day yesterday where it was all about value, and they were buying stocks with lower multiples and selling stocks with the higher multiples. It was clear rotation for the majority of yesterday. A lot of your high momos got hit. A lot of the lower beta names, the defensive names, the ones with PEs of like 12, 13 were getting bought. Lilly fit that description. It was up yesterday ahead of the report. It's up here again, but it's kind of run up. And when you put it in perspective here, even before I know the numbers, which Spencer's going to give us in a second, it's like, okay, well, it's held up. It's like 3% off its all-time high. Or maybe if you go back to 2000, it might have been higher than that. But in any regard here, it's 3% off. It's like decade high. So these are the kind of stocks when they're that close to the highs that need to blow it away still. And I think the numbers were good, but this got up to 114 in the pre-market, and it's going to go negative, it looks like here. Anyways, Spencer, give us the numbers.
This was a good report. They beat the estimate on the EPS and sales, and they raised their guidance. So the Q3 EPS beat by 3 cents, $1.39 versus $1.36. Sales 6.06 for 6.02 billion, and the guidance raised, like I mentioned, EPS guidance for the fiscal year raised from 5.40 to 5.55 a share, so a 15-cent raise. That's all good news. Beat, and raise.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter. It's leaking here already. So we were trading. I know you can see a 112 last, but that's off exchange. It's 110.50 offer, 110 a quarter bid. It did trade up, I believe, to 114. It's given it all back. And why is that? People scratch their head because this thing is up near the highs. And you know what? People are looking to book profits and stuff like this. And this thing's going red here, it looks like right now. So not good news when you beat, and raise, and you don't go up on it.
You did get up to 1478 on the initial surge after the
and 115 was those old highs. I mean, this stuff works.
Yeah.
Like if you look at all those October highs around 115.
Yep, 1537, and then the other ones were there's one at 15.5. But I mean, you get up this area, you got to use a buck or two range. Now that we're about to go red here, I'll be concerned if this takes out yesterday's low. Yesterday's low was 109.76, and there's nothing under that to 108.39 that will fill the gap. So go red and take out yesterday's low. Boom, we could easily be trading in the lower 108 handle. Friday's close at 106.75. If in fact they turn around and try and rally this, I mean, you got a long ways to go to get to yesterday's high. So I'd still use that as a good number. 112.08 was the high during the intraday session.
Sell on the rip, like Spice is saying, that strategy's still working here, and it worked on this Lilly spike here too this morning. So people are still looking. It's just this market mindset there. It's institutional money managers are still nervous, and you can see it even in stocks like this. And they use the opportunities when stocks pop 4 or 5% to book some profits. And and that's what you're seeing, especially on stocks that are near, especially I want to say on stocks that are near highs or near decade highs or near all-time highs. Because those are the stocks that they're like, hey, I'm up a lot of money in this. I need to book some profits. Let's do it. I did it too. I mean, Merck, I sold some of my Merck position because you know what? It's at like a 10-year high here right now. And, this market, if it does start to roll over, it will eventually take everything with it. We don't know if it's going to do that. But when I was looking to raise capital here, you sometimes you sell your winners just naturally there, or stuff you're way up and I don't want to give it back. I mean, there's, that's a stock that I bought at $30. And I'm way up in it. And, I don't want to end up giving a lot of that back. I've watched that happen in a few stocks. So sometimes money managers and even myself will book profits just because there's a little bit more fear. So I know these are stocks that they tend to hide in. But in a real market sell-off, which we have not seen yet, people can say, oh, that was a pretty vicious sell-off. But you didn't go through 2007, 2008, 2009. You didn't go through 2000 if you think that is a vicious sell-off, because that was a pullback. That was some selling pressure we saw in, at the end of October. But it wasn't like it was back in the financial crisis where they were just ripping everything apart. So, it was a pullback. Was it a correction? Are we going to go back to the highs? We don't know. It's good seasonality here because you're in November, and typically November, December, we have run-ups ahead. But that being said, we've got nervous money managers now and still showing up because the spikes on certain stocks are still getting sold.
CVS, Spencer, how'd they do? They're trading firmly in the green.
Yes, they are. CVS reporting this morning Q3 EPS of $1.73 is a 2-cent beat. Sales 47.2 is billion was in line with the estimates, and they reaffirmed their fiscal year EPS guidance at around $7 for the year. So slight beat on the EPS, in line, slight beat on the sales, and in line on the guidance for the EPS. So
this is nothing like Lilly. Because this stock is $73, and back in 2015 we were 113. So you can say we're still 40 points off the highs we set back 4 years ago. Yep. So this isn't the situation where all the money managers are up money on this and looking to book profit. There's a lot of people who are actually down in this trade still. So what I'm saying is there is still room here. Rips are getting sold on a lot of stocks. I don't know if it's going to be sold on this stock or not. It's easier to call on a Lilly when a stock's near, the all-time high or the 52-week high, as opposed to a stock that, has been beat up. It's come back a little bit here lately, but it is more of a value trade still, CVS. And I'd be more, I'm more like I'm just not as much of a rip seller in a stock like this with a 2.64% dividend on a decent report as I would be on a Lilly, which is near its all-time high.
Climbing back up $2.11 at 75.80. You did get an initial spike in pre-market trading to 76.50, but when I look at the dailies here, I got a number sticking out like a sore thumb. 77.07. We had a gap down day. This is probably back when you had the little market turmoil. So you get above 77.07. That's your major resistance. You got a gap to fill here. Up to 78.70. So we're up, but not quite in that gap area. Coming back on the downside, you're up to 11. So you need to go down to 74.63 to fill the void in price from yesterday's trading. That was yesterday's high. But keeping a close eye at 70, getting above 77, getting into that gap area.
So where do you want to go, Spencer?
Let's go to ELF.
Lead the way.
Let's go to ELF. Big gainer in the morning here. ELF,
Sure.
ELF Beauty. Reporting after the bell, Q3 EPS 17 cents versus an 8-cent estimate, sales of 63.8 for $60 million. So good beats for the Q3 print. They did narrow their fiscal year EPS guidance, but it came in line nonetheless. But a big EPS beat there for ELF.
And JP Morgan looks like they are taking this off their focus list as a short idea. So they had this as a short idea. I didn't know JP Morgan had a short focus list, but they did, and ELF was on it. So looks like after this report, they're throwing in the towel on that call, up 18% in their face. So that short didn't work out so well, JP Morgan. Up $2, 13.11. 14, you got maybe, but once you get up to 14, it looks like it's getting thick. 13 to 14, it looks like it thickens up to me.
Oh, yeah.
Where do we get up to? Where's that pre-market high?
Dennis, you don't even need to look at the charts. Pre-market high comes in right at 14 even.
I just gotta look at those. You know what? The daily chart, and everybody wants to use tick charts and little short-term charts. You bring up that 90-day chart, and you see what levels it got to and struggled at. And in a second here, I look at this and I was like, well, if it gets up to 14, it's probably going to struggle there. I wish I'd been trading in the pre-market here because it could have shorted 14, maybe get 13.90, and zero heat because it got right up to that level there again. So I mean, these levels, Joel, you taught me this level trading. I mean, this is just simple technical analysis. Stock gets up there multiple times and fails, comes back up there all of a sudden on an earnings report, often will fail at the same level it failed at before. So here you are at pre-market, same thing, 14.
Dennis, if you were trading this last night, it never would have traded 14. You know why? Because you would have been out there. Because you would have been out there at 1375. You had a high at 1375, 1377, 1377, 1378, and 1367. It would have been one of those. What do you call those orders that you show 100 iceberg? You would have been an iceberg there. I mean, it bounced up, went up there 5 times.
I wouldn't have let it go that high.
You wouldn't have let it. No, no. Then you would have pulled your offer, right? And then people would have bid it up, and then you would have locked it down at 75 again.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You would have cried about it not making 14, but you were the reason it didn't make 14.
You could have something here. You figured out all my strategies here, all my secrets coming out here on the pre-market prep show.
Okay. Right. Anyways, coming back.
Anyways, we broke that one down pretty good. Jump over here. Oh, there's like Mylan Labs, which is trading higher. You had FMC lower guidance, but was trading higher on that. It's a wacky market here right now. Emerson, I believe, lowered here too. Ralph Lauren reported Regeneron. BHC. Where do you want to go? Chat lead the way or Spencer lead the way?
Yeah, I was going to go to Mylan next anyway. So since you mentioned it, Q3 EPS of $1.25 versus $1.19, sales 2.86 versus $2.92 billion. So a beat on the EPS and a slight miss on the sales. So mixed report for Mylan. They're catching an upgrade this morning as well from Bank of America, upgrading to buy, but lowering their playing price to catch up down to 42.
You know what? Just look at the chart. Low expectations. That's what it is. You've got Teva that had a pop. Mylan and Teva often in the long term kind of track each other. They're both generic drug makers there. I used to pair trade the two against each other. Teva's been taken off. People want an excuse to buy Mylan Labs, and they got it last night. So I mean, they will find if the thing was in favor or if the thing was, trading up near the highs, probably be down on this report. But it's trading near the lows, so the market looks good enough, and they come in here and buy it. And they want to buy stocks like this right now that are beaten up. They're looking for stocks on the cheap, and so it almost matters. That chart matters so much when you look at those charts coming in. On how they're going to interpret the earnings report. And if it's beaten up and low, that's lower expectations, and so they don't have to blow it away. When it's right at the 52-week highs, like on a Lilly, they got to blow it away. They got to blow everything away for the thing to go higher, and that's just the way this market is right now.
You got a pre-market high. Someone got real excited, took it up to 34.75. But I see a big red candle day where it had a high of 34.48 and closed at 32.60. So we're 50 cents away from there. So we'll keep an eye on it and see if we can take out that 34.50. Above that, you go into the 35 handle, 35.18, 35.24. Of a pair of daily highs, coming back on the downside under 33.70. It'd be hard for me to be long this thing. That's where the pullback came after trading up well into the 34 handle. But once again, this is not a stock near all-time highs. This is a stock that probably has a pretty high short interest. So even if it does start to go into reverse, I think you're going to see some bids in this issue lower.
Jump over to EMR, Emerson Electric, which is fairly widely traded there. The stock's had a little run up there into the report, and the report comes out, and it is disappointing all across the board, I believe.
89-cent EPS is in line with estimates. Sales of 4.88 versus $4.9 billion. So slight miss on that. The sales growth for the fiscal year is coming in at 6 to 9% on the year-over-year basis. I think that was a hair light as well.
Yeah, the guidance, I believe, here too. I'll just grab it for you too, because I saw it go across my headline there. They had some other numbers as well. And it is, they see 355 to 370 on the fiscal year, and the analyst estimates are up at 376. So that is light guidance, and they don't like light guidance ever. And that is why the stock is trading down here $1. Well, it's trading at 69.50. You'll see last, but it's offered at 68.90 right now. This is why it's so important. Obviously look at your quotes. Don't just take the last trade, because this is offered at 68.90. Nobody's lifting that 68.90. Best bid is way down at 66.51. So this thing's probably going to open down, I would imagine, significantly below the 69.50 that you have it at right now, especially on the lowered guidance. I wouldn't even be surprised if this challenges the 66 handle here today.
Well, let's just go back to the daily lows here. 3-day low, 68.24. It's offered in that area. And then 67.83. Those were your 3 or 4 day lows. So I call 68 your first possible area of support. And then you get into the lows of the move. The low of the move comes in at 65.45. And that was flanked by 65.56 low. So 65.5 isn't a major resistance, but I don't know. I don't think we're going to get it down another $4 from that level down to the low of the move. So temporary, we'll see what happens at 68 first, and then we got the lows of the move.
John Smith wants to know about BHC Bosch Health, which is the old Valiant Pharmaceuticals, the old VRX, trading up here on their earnings report. Spencer, how'd they do?
Yes, they are Q3 EPS. They lost $1. Sales are 2.1 versus 2.09 billion dollars, so a slight beat on that sales figure. The sales guidance for the fiscal year came in line, and they actually raised their EBITDA guidance for the year. So the guidance was not bad there.
And it's trading up here, 2.66% of the pre-market. It was trading up last night here too, leaking a little bit from where it just was trading. Joel, how high did this get?
You got a pair of highs here at 26.75.
So you come off here about 50 cents from the highs. Thing had been running up for the last 3-4 days into it, so it needed to do pretty good. It did, but still, I don't know. I have no opinion on this one, because you get up to 28. I think you run into resistance. Here at 26.25, you're kind of in the middle of nowhere. This is an SOH trade for me. Sit on hands.
Yeah.
At least at 26.25.
Yeah, 26.75, your pre-market high. Your next daily high after that comes in at 27.59, and then you have the highs closer to the $28 level. But man, you hit that at that $28 level in October, and then you just gave it all back and over the course of the month. Now you're right back up near that area. Man, I see a lot of overhead supply in this one. Don't see it quite getting to 28 today.
Hey,
Jump over.
I
Go
wanted
ahead.
to go to the I'm feeling a little bit conspiratorial this morning, and I want to go to the food stocks, the restaurant stocks, just because we did have another M&A deal this morning here. Bojangles
What do you got?
Bojangles is taken out at the market. 16.10 is the price there for the Bojangles takeout. But to
Who
go
bought them?
private equity.
Oh, okay.
But to go along with that, Del Frisco's just moved up their earnings announcement date by how much they moved it up by a week? They moved it up. Oh, they moved it up to right now, to today. So, okay, never mind. I was going to make an argument there that Del Frisco's was going to get taken out there too, because we're seeing a lot of food stocks get taken private.
What's the symbol on that? Del Frisco?
DFRG. But no. So Bojangles got taken out today, adding to the list of restaurant stocks getting taken out. So if you're looking at, a noodles.
Did they know about this? This is like no premium here on this.
Well, this was rumored like a month ago.
I'm just wondering because 16.10, the stock closed at 16.01. So, so we're getting acquired at 16.10. So, if you were sitting on this thinking you're getting a big payday, you're getting no payday at all.
Yeah.
It might even actually trade down on this because it's time value of money, right? 16.10, 16.01. This is a disappointing premium for shareholders. I guess maybe they knew about this a while ago. Maybe that's why it popped from 14 to 17. But wow, if I was sitting on here hoping for a big payday, not getting it.
Right. And that sector has been hot. I know that was talked about a couple weeks ago, so perhaps they.
Yeah, it was rumored.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, if you're looking for some quick premium, those restaurant stocks, that's a hot one to get taken. That's for private equity right now. That's a hot sector. So.
Well, what other rumors? Do you know, like any other rumors that are out there on the restaurant stocks? I know, we've said, there's been a few takeouts in that space. Is there any other rumors that are around there on the Benzinga Pro? Because I know you guys track rumors.
I haven't seen any rumors. I can make some up if you like, but
you can yell. Well, don't make them up.
I haven't seen.
That's the Brentster too, because Brentster tracks those rumors pretty closely too. I just wonder who's in play. If there's anybody else that's in play here right now.
I'll see if I can compile a list today. I haven't seen any.
Who's had any rumor in the last 2 months of stocks that are in play, restaurant stocks?
Yeah.
Because that could be a good segment for us too to come back with tomorrow and just talk about, stocks that have been rumored in the last 2 months, because you're right. Some of these rumors materialize. Remember Panera Bread broke like 2 days before it got taken out there, a year and a half ago. Yeah. And there was some meat on the bone still because it broke and then it traded up and then it was, the takeout price is like 50 points higher. So sometimes when you're playing these things, actually, they do get taken over. Sometimes they are a lot higher, unlike this Bojangles.
This won't be hard. I'll just go into the news feed. You can filter by M&A and by rumors. So I'll hunt that down today and I'll compile some stocks that we'll talk about tomorrow. Where else did I want to go next? I wanted to go to
chat wanted to go Ralph Lauren.
Okay, Ralph Lauren, RL is where we're going. They're out this morning. Q2 EPS of 226 versus 215 on the EPS, and sales 1.69 versus 1.65 billion dollars. So beats on both the top and bottom line for RL.
Setup matters, like Spinner saying in the chat. Expectations super matters. Stock straight up here for the last month. You had a lot of stocks beat up in October. Where Ralph Lauren, after the October 11th low, has been straight up for 2.5 weeks from the 115 up to 137. What did that mean? It means they gotta blow it away to go higher. Also, the stock is very close to its all-time high. Setup was to be short this going in just because of that. And if you're getting rewarded here this morning. The stock's already down $5.
And they got real excited here hitting this thing. They took it down to 128 even. Only a couple thousand shares have traded here. You're back in an interesting area here. We're down 470 at 132.10. And I'm just keeping an eye on 131.35. That splits the lows of the last 2 days. So you did have a buyer there in the last 2 days. Let's see if they're there again. If you do, I think you get a chance to rebound here. Don't think we'll come up and see that close at 136.80, but take out that 131.35, folks, and you're looking at really near the pre-market low. 127.50 is your 3-day low here. So this thing, if it's going to rally, it's going to rally off the 131.35 area.
Let's jump over. We got a lot coming from the chat. Let's go to the chat for a while here because
Yep.
lots of tickers coming from there.
Sure.
Let's go. They want to talk pot stocks, but first I want to go to this Procter & Gamble move. Incredible move there for defensive stocks again yesterday. And just like we were saying, and I wish I would have got the Procter & Gamble when it was down at $72, $73 for my long-term investment portfolio. I was sitting at 68, so I missed it by $3 in my long-term portfolio. Just like I was saying, when everybody hated Procter & Gamble back in April and May, I'm like, eventually these stories turn around, the market plays a little more defense, rotation happens, and eventually these usually come back. Here it is, back up here at $91. So just like I was saying there, I'm going to say if you're buying this up at $91, $92, $93, go to the long-term chart because this is where the stock has struggled forever. Could it get to 93, 94? Sure, but you are way late to the party on this thing now. It seems like if you go back to the last 7-8 years of trading, it's every time it gets in the 90s, it fails, and it seems to always get back down to the 70s. You could have played this like 1, 2, I'm just adding them up, multiple times anyways, at least, 3 or 4 times there, where it's got up to the 90s and then pulled back down at least to touch into the 70s there. It's up to the 90s, comes to the low 80s, gets up to the 90s, comes back to 71. That was a steal. Now it's back up at 91. Could it continue up? Yeah, but I mean, again, you're coming and buying this right into resistance.
Yeah, some of my my best maneuvering in the month of October was in this stock because I just got it in my head after the earnings that it was like going to fill that gap and it was go right back down. And I've taken like 2 or 3 attempts. I think my latest attempt was on Friday because I'm like, I saw 3, 4 highs in the same area and I'm like, this is it. And you know what? When you're looking at a stock, you have a position, it's just not going your way. And I think I actually ended up making a little bit of money in the stock over the month, but being absolutely just dead wrong trying to pick a top. And then I still got
it's hard.
It's so hard. I get things in my mind like it's going to fill that gap. It's going to fill that gap. Well, It's not going to fill the gap when I want it to fill the gap. It's going to fill it when it wants to. And so this thing is just the gap and go was the right play after earnings. I've been doing the exact wrong thing in it, but I just been cutting out. I'm saying heck with it. I'm wrong. And, taking a small loss or I think I eked out a small profit on it on Friday and then I just let it go. And I'm glad I did because it just keeps on going. So wait for that double, triple, quadruple top, then the institutions are really unloading and get a downturn in the market. But stocks in favor now too, besides a good earnings.
It is. And I'm not saying come in here and short it right away. Wait till the market starts to turn. We start to turn higher in the overall market. We start to get some confidence back in the market. They'll hit a stock like this. This stock right now is just the beneficiary of a weak market. If you look at October, you can see it in the chart. I mean, actually, at the beginning of October, they started hitting everything, but then they went full defense. The market's been playing defense for the last 2 weeks. Procter & Gamble had a good report, and they're like, okay, well, let's just keep rallying on that. So, I think if you just jump in here and say, okay, well, it's going to be the top, it's going to be hard. It is in a breakout mode. The chart is favorable right now. The stock is in favor. But if you're in your long-term, and I'm speaking to the long-term investors here, and you're buying this thing at 91, Procter & Gamble when it was $78, 3 weeks ago, I think you're on the wrong side of the trade long-term. Short-term, think you continue higher. We got room to 95. But again, I think it's long in the tooth here now. This rally.
All right, what else do you want to grab from the chat here? We got about a minute here before Nick comes on.
Well, let's just go to the pot stocks quickly here. We've got Thrasher talking ACB, CRON. We actually have Afria now trading on the NYSE here. Snuck on there 3 days ago. APHA it is trading as on the NYSE. They changed the ticker symbol in Canada as well to APHA to match it. The pot stocks this morning are trading slightly higher. Afria is kind of actually flat. If I look in Canada here, I've got Aurora Cannabis trading up. Most of these are now traded in the U.S. too, so I don't even have to look at Canada anymore. You've got the Tilray's up $1. You've got CGC's up 60 cents. So again, a little lift here in some of the pot stocks, but I don't know. I mean, I actually tried to buy the ACB on that pullback there 2 weeks ago. I missed it by 20 cents. My order was at 7.10 in Canada. I got down to 7.30, and now it's 7.39 in the U.S. So it's 30% higher because of the exchange rate. So I just missed that low. But now, they're showing some life, and valuation is obviously a lot more attractive down here than it was when everybody was buying these things a month ago. So here, though, I still feel like I'm sitting on my hands a little bit. I'd like to get them to pull back, retest those lows, and that's maybe where I strike. I don't know if you're going to get that, though.
What was the first one you brought up?
APHA is the new listing of Afria on New York Stock Exchange. Only 2 days of data here.
Yeah. Okay. APHA, Afria.
Well, the data rolls over.
Yeah.
From...
I got it. I mean, just sticking out like a sore thumb here. I mean, look at this $13 level. 1281, 1278, 13 and a quarter. I don't know. I mean, if it could break above 13, it just seems like a seller right in the higher 12s and the lower 13s. But if you can clear that, things open up to like 14 and beyond.
All right, it is 8:35, and I'm bringing on Nick Chahine. He's our Tuesday guest. He's the author of Create Income with Option Spreads. Hey, Nick, how's it going?
You?
Good.
Good. Have you voted yet? Are the polls even open? It's like 4 a.m. where you are.
I vote by mail.
Oh,
isn't that the we're supposed to from the comfort of our own home?
Yeah,
nice.
That's the way to do it now.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't want to risk not being able to get out there. I don't want to see anybody when I'm doing it. This way, I go through the packet, pick my spots, and move on.
Okay, all right. Did you pick any spots in the old price line booking? Big move here. I know it's a hot one. I know you've played it in the past with some lottos, but different in market environment. I know you've been talking about that a little bit more as of late. Like there are certain times when you're inclined to do, certain things, but depends on the climate of the market. Talk to us about if you did anything with bookings.
I hung up on you. I'm sorry. I was typing in the ticker and I typed in the wrong one.
He's just asking about booking thoughts. Up 100 points on their earnings reports.
Yeah.
Did you play this one ahead of it? You sometimes play with lottos. Yeah. And what are your thoughts as it rallies 100 points on the earnings report? It seems to always rally or sell off 100 points every earnings report.
Right. Well, they priced in about 120 or 30, if I'm just from memory. So it's within the range that they had already priced in. I didn't play it because I don't think there are any lottos in this thing because of how expensive it is. So lotto should be small cost. Unless you have,
I think it was $10 for the 2000. I mean,
yeah,
you got the direction perfectly right, and it's just trading 1995. You're not making any money.
I bet you will on the 2000 from 1995 with the insanity of the open. You will. The premiums you paid for that 2000, it's going to be up massively. So whoever did that, kudos. They made a ton of money. So. The direction I couldn't guess, but there were levels to look at. So there was the 1760 and the 1900 was some sort of a cup and handle catalyst for it for the short term. But the long term was a coin flip inside of a coin flip market. So I stayed on the sideline because it's more Vegas than I have in me. So I'd rather make another bet that I can control. Like falling Apple, I sold puts in Apple yesterday rather than risk money on this thing. So 2 trades on Apple, selling puts in the morning and then selling puts in the afternoon, paid 30% immediately.
What did you do, and how do you get 30%? Tell us. Break this down for us. How did you do this?
Okay, so in the morning, everybody hated Apple. They were looking at the 200 level, and then
we hated it too. We talked about it 204, and we wanted it down to 1. That actually went right to where we were saying. We thought it would reach 200, and it did.
Months ago, when the mega spike happened, they said, "Where would you like to buy Apple?" I said 196. It came pretty close when it broke the 200. You could see a fat candle come in at 199 and change. I was like, this is pretty in 198, pretty close to 196. So I sold puts at 92.5, bottom back minutes later for a 30% win, actually more. And then it took another dip lower. I sold puts at 90 and I booked them. And then I bought calls with some of the profits that are longer term. So that's how I traded Apple. I could have done that or risked some money in booking, which would have been a coin flip for this morning. If I had picked calls, I would have won, but who knows what I would have picked. I thought that they were going to guide lower because of all the uncertainties out there. So I was probably going to guess puts. So luckily I didn't guess either way. So I kept my money. But if you bought calls at 2000, then you should be happy this morning.
I'm going to throw a few symbols at you here, Nick. Let's go to Square because this one has been wild. It's catching an upgrade this morning at Citigroup to buy. Yeah, it's trading up 1.6% at 76.20. So it's up $1.20 here this morning, the pre-market from the upgrade there. But wild candles last day. I mean, gets up, almost kisses 82 days ago. Then sells straight off 8 points basically in 24 hours, getting down to 72.22. Now it's kind of in the middle of 76.20 in the last 2 days. This thing's wild. Are you trading this one off?
Yeah, I am long, and I reiterated long yesterday. So I was long the technicals, like you said, when it was a little frisky, and then it faded. So yesterday I sent out yesterday in the chat room I said, I know, maybe I sent it this morning. The write-up said if I got shaken out of my calls recently, it's time to reload because I like the price action in it. So I am long into it. So we shall see how that plays out. Technically, it looks good. Fundamentally, people still believe in it. The sector is great. Everybody's spending is going electronic. They're on the forefront. They even have a touch of Bitcoin. I almost said cannabis, Bitcoin. So they're lined up well. It's not cheap in the sector, but it's the right stock to own if you believe in growth in that sector for now.
And let's jump over just to a couple other stocks here. IBM, huge move yesterday off the analyst report, or off of 4 executives buying stock there was announced. And they bought this on the open. I actually tried to buy this on the open, and this is the way it works. I put my order at 116.05, and of course it opens a nickel above me at 116.10. If I probably would have went 116.10, it probably would have opened 116.15 just ahead of you. And I know people say, oh no, that's not true. It is. As soon as you got a little, on the openings, you put a little bit of size there, and the market maker will typically open in front of you. So I just missed this. I mean, if I would have probably went like 116.30, I probably would have got 116.10. So sometimes you just got to get more aggressive with the pricing of those things. So I wanted it, didn't get it, ran straight up $3 in like 5 minutes, and I was just kicking myself for missing it by a nickel. But anyways, give us your thoughts on IBM as a rally $4 yesterday.
So I don't like the company because of its management. I've been pretty vocal about that. I even don't like what they announced recently. It still sounds like hot air when she says it. I don't know why. So from an engineer, everything they say sounds big picture, nothing specific. So anyway, having that aside, I did go long it a few days ago. The trade was a little red, but I stayed in it. This is just a pure bounce off a support with a possible swing high with the market. So this is some sort of a quasi bet on the market as well. If the market goes higher, this one has a chance at a bounce, a technical bounce. It is a tactical trade, not a fundamental one, meaning I don't believe in its fundamentals. I think they have missed the boat and they're lagging far behind the rest.
How about Regeneron from DC1 in the chat, REGN?
I don't know what it's doing this morning, so if you want to give me a heads up on that.
It's up $2.13 here at 357. Okay. I see major resistance are not major, but man, it takes out 360. Looks like this thing's going to 380. Nick, what's your technical and fundamental take on REGN?
Well, on the chart, it looks like what you say is true. But before I do that, I have to know what happened for these red candles. So if you know why that happened, is it a market move? Then that's a easier path to 380. But first of all, 370 should be the bigger step of resistance, because that was a ledge from which they fell. They defended it one time in October 11th, I think. And then a few days later on the 24th, they fell apart from it. So once they get back to it, they're going to battle over it again. So 370 is the line I'd look at before 380. But I have to know why the red candles. So
they had earnings. They had earnings today, and they cut their guidance. That's why.
Yeah, no, but I'm talking the red candles on the 24th.
Oh.
There was a series of red candles, and it's pretty sizable dip. So one would need to know why and see if this earnings report takes that off the table, because there was a 7% dip there.
Well, they had an FDA approval on the. I'm sorry. This is for that was the 24th. No, they didn't have it in FDA and drug news that day. Oh, they got a CRL. They got a complete response letter, which is bad news always for one of their drugs. So yes, they did. So
okay, so I don't know much about it, but in order to beat those candles, I think you'd have to eliminate that risk, wouldn't you? So I don't know if I would chase it. Let's put it that way. It's not an obvious point of entry unless you know the stock.
How about let's go to the next stock? And I was looking at it. Twilio. Matt and Beyond wants to know about TWLO. I know that one recovered, had a nice IPO, came back down, went tripled so far this year, almost tripled. Kind of in the middle of no man's land here. Nick.
Reports after the bell.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say it does report this week. I didn't know when.
I'm scared on this one. I almost I don't have a position, but I almost want to buy puts or something on. I think could be one. If they don't blow it away, this could be one of those that falls $10 because we've seen this on the higher Momo names when they don't show. So as long as they show a really good, top line growth and guidance is okay, they'll be okay. But if they show anything like, only beating by a little bit on top line and that, growth isn't going forward, this is one that they could slam.
Yeah, I was a holder of Twilio back on one earnings report in May of 17 when it fell 25% on an earnings report. I think I've mentioned it on your show before. I'd sold puts at that level, but longer dated, but I also had bought 5-cent protection puts, and that bailed me out of my trouble. So I'm not one to bet, but the headline there was very specific. They had lost a big client. I don't know if it was Facebook or one of those high-flying platforms. It was X% of their income, and they had lost it. So it was a mathematical thing. So it was warranted. In this case, it's just too high for me. I mean, at this level where markets are near all-time high and iffy, and people are calling for corrections, big corrections, I'm not sure that Twilio is the stock I want to bet on from its frothy levels as well. So it's off the high recently, but it's still pretty dang high. And almost an inverse cup and handle at 63.9. So let's call it 64-ish. If they lose that level, then they could easily test 52, 51, 48. I'm not calling for it, but these are scenarios that I look at. There's even an open gap to 44. So it definitely not an
you got me talked into
you got me talked into this one too, Nick. I hope this thing rallies like no end today, and you get some.
I kind of want to short it into the report, and it's high risk. So, but I take flyers, and you know what? This is the way you got to approach these things. Like, you don't throw a full position if you're going to flat out. Nick plays it a smart way. He buys, but I'm an equities guy. So I will take stocks long and short through the report, the actual equities sometimes, because I'm not an option specialist like Nick is. So sometimes I just I most of the time just play the equities. But if I'm playing the short side, I know there's high risk involved. I maybe take like a third size position or something, or a half a position of a trading position, because I know the risk reward is the reward's very good if they miss, but the risk is they could be at 85 in your face. So, but I kind of like it's the setup here for the short. So I might actually try on a flyer, smaller position short end of the report.
So to consider, if you're shorting it on a daily chart, just looking for the price action, and if you believe in price action, it should have support around 64, because it was a pivot point. So whoever fought over it at that point, they're likely to fight over it again, thereby creating some congestion. But if it does let go, like we say, on a headline or on a headline and a bad stock market reaction to another headline that's happening, the elections, you could see it going down. And if it does, the downside target technically should be in the low 50s.
And man, if it's a good short at 72.50, Dennis, if it opens up at 78 or 79, just think it'd even be a better short yet.
Oh, you think it faded on the actual Joel's like, I hope it actually reports and beats tonight, and I'm going to fade into the pop. So that's a different way to do it too. More meat on the bone.
To be fair to all the listeners that are excited about that stock, let's talk about the upside of that coin. So 78, I believe, will bring 88. And that would be just a mere reversion to the mean.
There's no way that stock's going to 88.
I think the sector's too out of favor.
That would be a perfect.
The cloud stocks. It's just.
I think they're too out of favor for
so
it. Folks,
I'm going to be on the record that two experts are so convicted in one way, the blind side will happen, and I will be an upside better on this one than a downside.
All right, we got it. We got some. We
got a lunch bet here going.
With Nick. Nick is going to have to deliver us.
It's a coin. I mean, they're all coin flips to a start. When you're betting on earnings, I mean, it's a fundamental news that nobody knows. So it is a coin flip.
You just said it. It's a bet. Earnings, the short-term reaction to the earnings is always a binary outcome, in my opinion.
Yeah.
We've said that before. If Twilio gave you their P&L right now, would you guess up? Would you be able to tell me for certain how the market will react?
That's the crazy thing. Like I've argued here for the last like few months and for a long time here. These insiders, some of those probably insider traders aren't doing that good because you know what? You get these reports sometimes and you think, well, it's got to rally on that. And you got like an Eli Lilly this morning, for example. They beat on the top, beat on the bottom, raised guidance, and the stock is down. That insider that's buying that stock, you know, if they had, and I'm just saying hypothetically, if there was an insider that had that report, are losing money. So you know what? It's tough to analyze these reports because they do funny things on the reports sometimes.
It's all about expectations.
It really is.
What the traders are looking for. And speaking of expectations, I mean, I know you probably beat the concept to death. What Apple did is ripping off a Band-Aid. And I think it's better for the stock longer term for those who do homework, because now it's no longer hanging on one stupid iPhone number. So they sold 48 million, not 49 or whatever. So they can no longer do that. So now the sellers will have to do homework and find a shortable thesis on a headline on earnings. How easy is it to do that? It's not, especially not on Apple. I mean, the bear thesis on Apple is so difficult to conjure up that they will have to come up with another thesis to break it on an event. So I think it's a good thing what they're doing. You see how we shifted to Apple completely? But the concept on the earnings is just what are they looking to hear or see?
Hey, Nick, real quick. Everyone's buzzing about NIO here. It's supposed to be like the Tesla of China. Had a big run up off its IPO, came back down almost to the IPO.
They had earnings today also.
Earnings?
Yeah,
they're up 70 cents here, Nick. It's 7.38. Is this one you've been following?
I haven't been investing in it. I have been following it. But if the death of Tesla didn't cause a rip to high heaven in this one, I'm more likely to bet on Tesla than this one. And I did. So I am long Tesla still by sold puts. However, speaking of Tesla, I'm glad you mentioned it. I do not want to be long Tesla calls, for example, through the 13 Fs that are sure to hit soon enough, because this would cover the period of madness. And how many of those whales did bail on it? And monkey see, monkey do, people would want to join there could be selling pressure. So if these massive Uber happy Tesla people have bailed on it because Elon lost his mind in the last 3 months, this is the time where they tell us they did. So it's a risky proposition. I did profit a lot from long calls. I got lucky on that one. I sold some puts, and I have long dated puts at 195, which I covered a lot of them yesterday. Recently, I should say. So I am still long Tesla, but with house money for sure. But the 13 Fs are a danger.
That's a very good point, Nick. 13F day is the 15th, so next Thursday. So very good point. I forgot all about that.
Nick, any conviction, last stock here, we'll let you go. Any conviction in being long Amazon here? I'm looking at the monthly chart here going back to 1999. And that big old ugly red candle here in the month of October. I mean, it's had some big green ones. You think what's your conviction seeing Amazon going back up near 2000?
I'm very convinced that it would, just from the concept of how happy everybody is on how good Walmart is. I'm long Walmart, by the way. So from a while back, technical. So I'm not speaking my book. I'm speaking against my book here. But Amazon is still the beast to beat. And by the time they have its move figured out now, they would come out with a new move that it's already in progress that we don't even know about. That's my conviction. And I think the biggest switch in Amazon is profits. Nobody's talking about how good they were this time around. They all are saying, oh, they missed the top line. But now just imagine the Alexa voice recognition licensing income. So there's no incremental cost. Any new source of income with licensing deal with anybody on the planet, it's going to flow straight to the bottom line almost unhindered. So if the top line is not as sexy as before, the bottom line is going to be one big fat one until they find a new area to get into. AWS, they still dominate. Everybody's playing catch up. Everybody's their client. I mean, what's not to like? Let's say it this way. If the stock market is higher, Amazon is definitely at the lead.
We've been on the line with Nick Chahine. He's the author of Create Income with Option Spreads. Joins the show every Tuesday to give us his fundamental and technical take on the markets. Nick, great debates, and we'll be checking in with you later on.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, guys. Sorry hanging up on you twice.
That's okay. That's all right, Nick.
See you, Nick. Thanks.
S&Ps are trading at near the lows of the pre-market session, down 775 at 27.30, 175. Pre-market low, just $2 away at 29.75. That would be your area to hold here. Coming back on the upside, those pair of closes just under 27.40 marks my area of resistance. Dennis, any notable imbalances here? Maybe that
Let's
pushed
go take a look. Some of the defensive names that can change. They had solid balances yesterday, and they ended up very strong. So just because something opens weak doesn't necessarily mean it's going to stay weak. Procter & Gamble 67,000 to sell, Coca-Cola 114,000 to sell, Johnson & Johnson 40,000 to sell. So you can see those three defensive names with some solid balances. People looking a little bit of profits. Maybe it's a little bit in. I don't really see it this morning though, because you got the TLT up, you got a little bit of the stocks down here. So I'm almost looking, at those as buying opportunities, but we'll see as we get closer to the open. IBM has got a buy and balance. We talked briefly with Nick here. It's got 51,000 to buy. It got pumped further on Kramer last night. Kramer on Mad Money was just coming out and highlighting that those executives bought the stock, and that's a big vote of confidence. And basically, Kramer was bullish the stock, and that's why it's trading up here in the pre-market as well. Love him or hate him, Jim Cramer is a market mover, so you got to respect his opinions when he has them on the show, because he will move the price. I don't really see anything else really jumping out at me. GE 73,000 to buy. That jumps out at me because it normally has a sell and balance every day, and it doesn't today. What do you think on GE? I mean, we talked about it yesterday. It just is so it's been dead money. 906, if you lean on that, maybe you get a little bit of life here eventually. I mean, values come back into favor. This needs the vote of confidence from the CEO. Didn't do it because it wasn't a big enough position. We talked about that on the show. I know it was trading up in the 940s pre-market, and we kind of said, wow, that's just not big enough vote of confidence. But I don't know. And I'm not getting Pulse GE by any means. I think long-term still with Inch, but could you see a bounce here or something like that?
I mean, you lead on that 906.
That's what I was saying. Lean
yeah,
on it. If you got this down like 926 today or something, 925, you lean for 20 cents, saying, maybe we get a headline. All it needs is one positive headline. It's going to be $10. But I don't know if that positive headline's coming.
Pair of closes too. I know we talk about the daily highs and lows and double tops and double bottoms and stuff, but a pair of closes is important too. 929, 928 yesterday's close. That's the low of the move. That's where the bulls and bears have just been squaring off here. So above 930, you get a chance to go up there and maybe test yesterday's high at 953. I just have a feeling, if you take out that 927 low and you're looking for like that quick $9 print, I just don't think you're going to get it. Institutional bids going down, whether it's to cover shorts or put new money to work.
I gotta go look at the book.
Yeah, it's
going to be littered with buys bids, down around 9, I'd imagine.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness, this is the thickest stock ever. $9 is 700. This is like at 9 o'clock in the morning, so half an hour before the market opens, when a lot of institutions don't even have their orders out there yet. 700,000 to buy at 9. 40,000 to buy at 901, 40,000 902, 80,000 905. I mean, it can chew through all that, but when you put it in perspective, it looks pretty open to 950, and it looks pretty thick. Once you get to 925, it looks thick as hell.
Inside, yep, inside.
There's room here. There's room here to chop around for day trades from 925 to 950.
Yeah, and there's
a day trader,
inside day. You got an inside day yesterday, 966 versus 953, and then you had the 958 close. So developed a little big trading range. I'll let it chop and slop in between there and play the outsides. Do we touch on any earnings?
Let's go ratings.
There was just a couple. Splunk catching a downgrade today from Bernstein to market perform. We mentioned the Square upgrade at Citigroup to buy. They announced a $90 price target. And Shake Shack catching an upgrade post earnings from Longbow to buy. They announced a $60 price target. And those were kind of the big three that I saw this morning.
Oh, that Shake Shack, that is completely out of favor now. The high multiple stock finally starts to come in when all other high multiple stocks come in here. I mean, I think all rallies to be sold in this thing. I don't think this is going to be one that's getting taken over. We talked about restaurant stocks. The valuation is just way too high. You get up near 50. I think there's sellers all over the place, people who are trying to call the bottom there on the double bottom from just last week. And it took that out on the report. You know what? I think I'm a fader of their upgrade here.
Yeah, a little bit too high of a multiple to be
Yeah.
a takeover candidate. I mean, it already traded 60, so I don't know if they're the after the fact kind of target there. Let's see what happens. You haven't even taken out. Well, yesterday's high was 47.94, so you're above that, but you fall back under that. Looking for the close, 47.45. If it really goes into reverse, you got the low of the move, a double bottom at 46.31, 46.51. All right, Spencer, you want to wrap up things and
Sure.
previews tomorrow?
Yep, that'll do it for our show today. If you missed any part of it, you want to catch it again, you can catch our podcast. We're on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, and Google Play. Just search for PreMarket Prep on any of those platforms, or just rewatch the show on YouTube where it's airing right now and where it re-airs forever, where it lives forever. Please remember that all the information from our show is for informational purposes only and not meant to be investing advice. Hope you guys had a good morning. Hope you get out there and vote today if you are in America. And we'll see you folks tomorrow. Have a good one.